So I was working with a student recently who was really struggling with the slice. They just couldn't quite understand how to get the club face squared up by the time the club head got back to the ball. Now, let me show you how we fixed that with just this one simple change. Stay tuned, you are not going to want to miss this. I'm Ashton Brewer, TPI Level 3 certified golf instructor, and my passion is meeting golfers where they are and taking them where they want to go. So if you're ready, let's get into it. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any game-changing instruction. All right, everyone, let's get into it. So the reason this particular student was struggling with hitting a slice was club face. So leaving that club face open in the downswing, open at impact, causing the ball to start out right and then go further right. So how are we going to fix that? The thing that I want to talk to you all today about is actually wrist conditions. So the lead wrist, so if you're a right-handed golfer, that'll be your left wrist, is predominantly what controls the club face. So as you can see here, I've got the club face straight up and down, so this would be a square position. If I go ahead and start flexing my lead wrist, if I start supinating my lead arm, you can see how that club face starts to close. Now, if I go the opposite way, if I start to pronate my lead forearm and I start to cup my lead wrist, that club face starts to open. So when he would arrive at the top of the backswing, he would have a cupped lead wrist and a pronated lead forearm. So what does this do? Well, as we can see, the toe of that club is hanging more down as opposed to the club face being more parallel with our lead forearm. So if we're arriving to the top of the backswing with an open club face and the downswing is much faster than the backswing, what we're going to find is it's really difficult to try and get the club face going from an open position to a square position in such a short amount of time. So what I wanted to work with him on and what we ended up changing for him was getting that club face in a more square position at the top, getting the wrists in a better position to support a more square or a slightly stronger club face. So the left and the right wrist, or the lead and the trail wrist for a right-handed golfer, work in two different ways. So let's start with the lead wrist. So the lead wrist, as we mentioned earlier, if we want to have a stronger or a more square club face at the top, we have to supinate the lead forearm and slightly bow or flex the lead wrist. This starts getting the club face a little bit more closed. But now, how does this affect the rest of the downswing? Well, if we just simply have a flatter or slightly more bowed lead wrist at the top of the swing and we bring the club down, a square to slightly more closed club face actually has a steepening effect on the golf club. So if we just simply do that, if we just simply have a more flat lead wrist at the top of the swing without countering that with something with our trail wrist, we're going to get some shots like this. Fixed the slice there, which is great. However, now we've got another problem. We're hitting it left. So we've gone from one extreme to the other. So how are we going to average this out? How are we going to get some good middle ground? So this is where our trail wrist or the right arm and hand come into play for the right-handed golfer. Okay, so we already mentioned getting that stronger club face, right? Getting it a little bit more square to even slightly closed. Okay, so now because that has a steepening effect on the downswing, like we just discussed, what do we need to do with the right hand and right arm to counteract that? How do we get from being steep to shallow? Okay, so this is why I like to think about both arms kind of independently. So with the right arm, the right hand, we are going to want to actually hold our hand out in front of us. So if you're a left-handed golfer, this will be your left hand. Going to hold it out in front of us, and we're going to pretend like we're grabbing a doorknob, right? So we're going to feel like that we are actually opening the doorknob, turning it clockwise. Another feel for this is we can go to the top of the backswing, and we're going to work on unscrewing the light bulb. So if we are unscrewing the light bulb, if we are twisting it, if we are supinating our right wrist and forearm, our trail wrist and forearm, this is going to get the club shallowing out. So if we were to shallow out the club without that flexed lead wrist, we're getting an open club face. If we get the flexed lead wrist without the shallowing, we get the steep closed face over the top pull hook. But if we get both of these together, if we get that flatter lead wrist and we get unscrewing the light bulb, we get that supinating trail wrist, this gets us into that shallow position, getting the club nice and square while still working it out in front of us. And then when we can go ahead and swing through, not be afraid of hitting that shot, that screamer out to the right. All right, so working on this, working on getting that lead wrist, so the left wrist for a right-handed golfer, a little bit more flexed at the top of the swing, flat to flexed. Flat is square, slightly flexed is going to be slightly closed. Either one is okay, especially for someone working on fixing a slice. And then we want to get that trail wrist, so the right wrist and the right forearm for the right-handed golfer, we want to get it supinating. We want to get it unscrewing the light bulb. So remember, this way, unscrew the light bulb. If we can do those two things, that's going to help us get the club in a little bit more square position, coming in from a little bit more shallow angle of attack. This is going to help us get rid of that slice once and for all. If you're ready to start the journey together toward your best golf, check out my skill list profile. Link is in the description. From there, you can schedule a lesson with me, sign up for my monthly program, or get a free one-time swing analysis, no strings attached, no questions asked. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.